Pokemon Pocket's no EX format is quickly becoming one of my favorite ways to play the game. I mean, it is just a great way to unwind, get away from all of the meta decks on the ladder. But if you're anything like me, when you first heard about this format, you really didn't know what to play other than taking your already good non-EX decks and converting them over to the format. So I want to show you in today's video, now that we've had some tournaments completed, what the very best decks in the no EX format are. And this way, you know exactly what you're going to be running into on ladder. You know what's good. You can either play those good decks or put your mind to the test and try to counter them. Let's get into it. Be sure to hit like and subscribe if you're enjoying the content. Don't forget to say hi to Pyukamuku in the comments. He really appreciates it. He reads all of them. It makes his day. So I'm going to order this from the outskirts of the meta all the way to the very best decks in the meta. Now, it would be no surprise that decks that are already good in standard would be good in the no EX format as well, right? They're used to taking down big EXs, and now they just got to do it against regular Pokemon. Pretty good deal. So what we have here first is the classic Alakazam Weezing. You probably already know this deck. There's not much to really go over here, but to let you know that it is fantastic in this format. Alakazam, it's already hitting EXs for 150. It can one-shot basically every single attacker in the no EX format, no problem. It's really not that hard. Everything has lower HP. The psychic attack stacks so quickly. I mean, 30 more damage for each energy is crazy in this game. So yeah, Alakazam's just gonna be one-shotting everything. You got Weezing plus the Koga to just wall, buy you some extra turns while you try to set up that Alakazam. Overall, very good deck, but nowhere close to the best. Continuing with our Weezing theme, we have Arbok Weezing. It is strong for all the same reasons it is in standard format. If you want to call it strong, I'm of the opinion that this deck kind of sucks in standard, but I will give it some credit here in the no EX format. It's better because it doesn't have to go through such big HP Pokemon. You still have all of that strength of the Arbok's corner attack. You could just win games by cornering something that doesn't have the energy to attack your Arbok back. Very, very good when damage output is not too big of a deal, right? Corner's going to two-shot basically everything in the format, besides maybe some potions, but you got the Weezing to deal the beginning damage against some of the larger threats. List is basically the exact same as standard. Yeah, it really just has the same game plan. Go in with Weezing, and then once Weezing is done enough, go into the Arbok, start trapping some things in the active spot, and win the game that way. Now we could get into the real interesting stuff, because this deck is not good in standard, okay? This deck will do you no favors against any of the meta decks in standard. It's very hard for this deck to beat these things consistently, but in the no EX format, it shines. I know I have a lot of Dragonite mains out there that absolutely love this deck. Well, if you want to go terrorize some people, take this thing to the no EX format. Dragonite's big problems in standards come from the fact that it can be one shot back. You go up, you attack once, Dragonite goes down in one hit. No good. You are never setting up more than one Dragonite in a game, but in no EX, I don't know that there's really any card that does 160 damage that people are consistently playing. So if you can get that one Dragonite set up, there's a pretty good chance you're getting 2 attacks, maybe even 3 attacks in this format. It's very, very crazy what Dragonite can do once fully set up. And all of the Pokemon are squishier. Sure, you now definitely have to knock out 3 in order to win the game. But because all the Pokemon are so squishy, there's a good chance that you're going to be able to pull it off. I mean, with 3 attacks, you're dishing out 450 damage across the board. That's pretty nuts. 2 attacks, 300 damage can usually get it done that way. The way that people are playing it, I mean, there's a bunch of different ways to play Dragonite, right? In no EX format, it's no different. This has been one of the more successful ones with the Baby Articuno plus the Misty. Another good thing about the no EX is it gives you a little bit more time to get set up. Gives you just a little bit more time than if you're facing against a Pikachu deck that's hitting for 90 damage on turn 2. So you can kind of afford to get the Articuno set up while also setting up the Dragonite. You can afford just a couple more attachments to the Articuno than just completely relying on Misties to start attacking with it. But like I said, there's a lot of different ways to play this. People are playing it with Weezing, very classic. People are playing it with just the baby Mewtwo's. Just any kind of wall that is going to soak up some damage while you set up the Dragonite in the back. But yeah, deck is super fun in no EX. I really enjoy playing it in that format. It's just so satisfying to knock out the baby HP, and having that 160 HP is almost unheard of in no EX. You know, there's some other cards, but none are really played. So yeah, Dragonite, very, very good in no EX. Now we get on to the very, very interesting stuff. Okay, this deck won a no EX tournament I think the tournament was about 200 players, which for no EX is pretty large. And it is Melmetal and Wigglytuff. You don't see a lot of Melmetal. People try it in standard format, but unfortunately, it just doesn't have enough. I can't really quite pin what it is. It might be that 4 energy cost for its attack that really holds it back, because it only effectively has 150 HP, right? It can get one shot by something doing 150 HP. We all know who does 150 HP in standard. And we all know that you run into that deck all the time. But in no EX, that 20 damage reduction is very big, because all of the attacks do less damage than what you're used to seeing from EXs, right? Once you get a Melmetal set up, you can very, very easily take multiple prize cards with it. Very good trade. You also just have the time to get the Melmetal set up without too much worry. And then we pair it with the Wigglytuff. Why? Wigglytuff is colorless. Wigglytuff has 100 HP. Pretty good number. Wigglytuff does 60 damage. Also, you have the Jigglypuff to sing and put things to sleep and buy yourself some more turns. So Wigglytuff, very good partner for the Melmetal. Still mainly a Melmetal deck. You want to get that Melmetal set up and start swinging with it. But once you do, man, it is just so hard to take it out. Games are going to be going for quite a while because you have all these big, strong Pokemon with a lot of HP. The rest of the list, you know, we got 2 Research, 2 Sabrina, a Giovanni, 2 Potion. Very, very important to keep that Melmetal healthy. 2 XP, 2 Pokeball, and a red card. Very standard list, but just letting you know that, hey, Melmetal and Wigglytuff, they actually work in this no EX format, and it is a ton of fun. So if you've been trying to play Melmetal in standard, maybe go try the no EX version. It's going to be a lot better. You're going to win way more games with it, and you're going to have a blast doing so. Moving up even farther up our tier list, we have fighting type decks, basically in general. If you look at all the no EX fighting types, there are a lot of very, very strong ones. Fighting types have some of the strongest attackers in the game. Really, I'm telling you, once a fighting type gets a good late game sweeper, other than Marowak, who just relies on coin flips, I think fighting is going to be a very, very good type. But for now, it's very good in no EX. So this list right here opts to play Primeape and Onix. Now, I've seen lists that do basically the exact same thing, but instead of the Primeapes, they play Sandslash. Just something a little bit more consistent. You don't have to worry about reckless charging with the Mankey in order to do the max damage with Primeape. Sandslash will just do a nice, consistent 70 damage, and it has 10 more HP, so that could be helpful as well. But they're usually paired with the Onix. Onix is very, very good in no EX. 110 HP, does 70 damage. Just some good numbers all around. 110 HP is pretty hard to take out. 70 damage is very, very good. That's going to two-shot anything in the format. That's going to let you pick up 1 prize knockouts on some of the Pokemon that haven't evolved yet. Obviously, we have to run the Brock in this deck in order to power up that Onix. That 3 energy cost is pretty steep, especially since once you get the Onix in the active, or if you start with the Onix, he's not going anywhere with that 4 retreat cost, right? You got to power him up so he can start doing damage. Otherwise, he's just going to be giving your opponent a free prize, which is never really all that great when your backup is Primeape, who is also squishy. Probably going to get knocked out within 1 or 2 turns, depending on the deck you're going against. Rest of the list, super standard. I mean, we just see the potions, the Pokeballs, the X speeds, the researches, the Sabrinas, and then a 1 of Giovanni just to fix up some math. Very, very good deck. If you've been trying Onix and having no success with it in standard, take it to no EX. It is a super aggressive, very fast deck that can win games quickly, which is something that you usually don't see in the no EX format. If you're playing some of these off-meta stuff, you're going to be looking at very, very long games. I remember I was playing a Venusaur Executor deck in no EX. Super fun, but the game went on for like 28 turns. It was crazy. One of the most fun games I've ever had. So yeah, go try out the fighting deck. Super fun. So now we're on to the Ninetales Rapidash deck. And you might be thinking, this is it. This is the end of the road. This is the best deck. That is what everybody thought when no EX first started being played. They all thought that, well, Ninetales Rapidash is the best deck, the best non-EX deck in standard, so why wouldn't it be in no EX? Well, I'll get to why it's not in a bit, but Ninetales Rapidash, you guys should already know this story by now. It is just a super aggressive, strong deck. It deals a ton of damage. Ninetales being able to hit 120 damage with Blaine, Rapidash being able to hit 70 with Blaine. It is just crazy strong. It's going to be knocking out basically everything in the format with 1 Ninetales attack. Yeah, it is just insane. Low energy cost too. You really don't have to invest that much in order to get those attacks going. I think this was the best deck when No EX first started, but people then quickly found out how to counter it. So we're going to get to those counters, and it is super interesting because there's a ton of different ways to play it. Very, very cool. But yeah, Ninetales Rapidash, you guys know the story. Very fast, low energy cost, big damage. So there is a definitive best card in No EX, and I think I'd be a little bit sad about this if there weren't so many ways to play it. So one of the first things that people came up with was this Greninja Tentacruel deck. Greninja, just the best card in No EX, hands down. It has an amazing ability with Water Shuriken, and its attack does 60 damage for only 2 energy. When you factor in the fact that Ninetales was the best deck and you're hitting that for weakness, just super, super good. So they paired it with Tentacruel. Why? Tentacruel has 110 HP, its attack does 50 damage for 2 energy, and it leaves your opponent's active Pokemon poison. Tentacruel is literally the perfect counter to the Ninetales Rapidash deck. They need a Blains in order to knock it out with a Ninetales, but Tentacruel will do 70 damage plus 10 from the poison. If they don't move that Ninetales, it will do 10 more, passing back into your turn. Ninetales will get knocked out because that's 90 damage. Or you can pair a Water Shuriken on the active Ninetales with a Poison Tentacles. That's knocked out. You can do the exact same thing with Rapidash. So this is just like a very, very good counter to that deck. You also have the Misties in here to help power up things a little bit faster if need be. But yes, this was the first iteration of Greninja. This is what did the best. Good counter to Ninetales, and it has some of that same power of Tentacruel has a little bit more HP, a little bit less damage, but it's still very fast. It's very scary. It's just a stage 1 that needs 2 energy in order to start doing a lot of damage. So this was a very good deck, but we started moving to other things. This deck's still good, don't get me wrong, but there are a lot of other ways to play Greninja. Let's get into them. So here is a very, 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 very interesting idea, and it is Greninja plus Onix. Now, you have the Misties and you have the Brock, just all the energy acceleration you can imagine in here. The thought process here was, well, let's just pair Greninja with a big wall that can do good damage that will probably not get knocked out in one hit by anything in the format while we build up our Greninjas. So it is just very, very scary. I mean, you have that 70 damage from the Onix. Going to be taking early prizes for sure. As you get into the late game, Greninja is going to start fixing up that math, and Greninja is just an insane attacker in this format. You can do 80 damage total with that Water Shuriken plus the Mist Slash to whatever the active Pokemon is. It's just very, very good. It has 120 HP, hard to knock out. Pokemon are usually going to need some sort of supporter in order to do so. As you can see by all these other lists, not a lot of Pokemon doing 120 damage. Really, the only one is Ninetales, and they need a Blaine in order to pull that off. So, yeah, super, super cool deck. You would just never think to pair Onix and Greninja anywhere else but No EX, but they did it, and it has actually done very well in tournaments. Another super popular way to play Greninja is with just some basic walls. So you have the Kangaskhan to do early damage pressure, just 1 energy, and you can flip 2 coins. It does 30 damage for each head. Super strong early game. Kangaskhan is very good in No EX because, just like everything else, everything has lower HP than what you're used to. Very hard for Kangaskhan to get one shot back. 100 HP is just a great number to have. Then you have the Bruxish to pair with it. Bruxish is such a good late game attacker. If the active Pokemon has a damage counter on it, it does 10 more than Greninja, but there are a lot of times where that 10 damage does matter in this format. So Bruxish, very good late game sweeper. And then you just have the basic Mewtwo as a super big wall. I mean, 120 HP in No EX is absolutely massive. So you can use the Mewtwo in a pinch, put it up there, buy yourself some time to get your Greninjas set up so you can start Water Shuriken. And it allows you to do a lot of very, very cool plays. It is very, very skill intensive because some of these games go on for quite a while and you need to be placing your Water Shuriken damage appropriately every single turn or it could cost you the game. Now, this is probably the coolest development, right? So first we saw everyone was playing Ninetales. We need a way to counter it. Okay, let's start using Greninja decks. Greninja decks took off. Well, now Greninja decks have the problem of facing other Greninja decks. Now, how are we going to solve that? Well, Jolteon's actually a pretty good attacker in this format. Its attack for a 1 lightning and 1 colorless does 40 damage for each heads you flip out of 4 coins. That, if you roll correctly, can one-shot anything in the format. If not, it's going to be hitting Greninjas and other water types for weakness, so the amount of heads you need to take that one-shot goes down. Overall, just a super strong card in this format. So you play water energy and you play lightning energies. No Misties in this deck. We're opting for just a little bit more heavy on the attacker side, right? We have the 2 Kangaskhan as well, because again, Kangaskhan is just a super good early game attacker. Gives you the time to get set up, because sometimes with these dual energy decks, energy doesn't go your way. You need a couple turns to guarantee that you get that lightning energy for Jolteon. You need a couple turns to guarantee you get that water energy for the Greninja. So the Kangaskhan buys you that time for that to happen, but then you can go into the Jolteon, start hitting for absolutely massive damage with the Pin Missile while it's being supplemented by the Water Shuriken. Just a very cool deck overall. So that is the brief rundown on Pokemon Pocket's No EX format. You now know what to expect as you're playing in the meta. The 2 big decks to look out for are Ninetales, Rapidash, and Greninja, plus whatever Greninja decides to hang out with on that day. So yeah, go try some of these decks. Go try a Greninja variant of your own. There are so many ways to play it, or try to metagame, try to build a deck that can beat both of those consistently. Either way, just go try the format. It is so much fun. There are so many people playing it. You will get into a game guaranteed 15 seconds in at max. Like you queue just as fast into No EX games as you do into standard format games. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. Have a good one.